Okay. Hello, welcome again to Father with Three Job podcast. And this week I have another interview, and this is a very super exciting interview. I've been waiting for this interview for a long time since the launch. I've been contacting this man, and he has made time to come onto my show. My very beginner show. I really appreciate it. And all I can say is he is the top 100 Scottish entrepreneur. He knows Prince Charles. Prince Charles has come and did this opening of his second phase of his business. He was also invited to Prince Harry and Meghan's wedding last year. He started as a graduate process engineer in a top oil and gas company, very comfortable oil and gas company, and then he decided to go entrepreneurship. And also, I've heard this tip from a good friend, close friend. He was rumored to almost play for Scottish national football team because he's a really good footballer.
I don't think that's true.
Yes, I've got this tip from somebody. So, not to waste any time, today I've got Martin Murray, the CEO of Rock Rose Gin, the very famous Rock Rose Gin. Welcome, Martin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Alex. I'm delighted to be on the show, and thanks for having me. It's great to be able to talk to you about what I do now, and having worked together in the past. It's a big change for me now.
Yeah. So I really want to get you onto the show to share your story. I'm sure if anybody Googles your name, you find stories, but I just want the side of being the father and the boss. That side of the story I want to share with everyone because I think lots of people within our age are getting comfortable with the job. But I just want to share that we can do more. That's why you're here to inspire us, Martin.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I guess it's something that I never thought about when I left school, and it's great now, having done this for 5 years, to be able to tell people what I wish I could have known sort of
Yes.
10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yes. Martin, should we just start for maybe some viewers, like because I've got American viewers and some viewers from Asia, but that might not know about Rock Rose Gin. Give us a couple of minutes introduction about your business and what you do that's been so
Yeah.
successful, please.
So we started business 5 years ago, and our business name is Dunnet Bay Distillery. It's located in the far north of Scotland. We are the most northerly distillery on the mainland in Scotland, and we're based in our home county. So my wife is from this village, and I'm from the local town Thurso. We were born and raised here, went off to study at university, came back, worked in oil and gas, and then built up a business. And we launched our brand Rock Rose Gin 5 years ago, and its sole existence really was to help us transition out of an oil and gas rotational role into a kind of family role at home. And to say it's gone well would be an understatement. We sold our first year's production in the first 3 months. We trebled our growth the next year, and now it's unbelievable. We're distributed in 15 countries. We're launching in the US next month, and it's completely blown my world. But
Yeah.
it's brilliant, and it's not what we expected. It was never the intent, but
Yeah.
we're very much of the attitude is you make hay while the sun shines. So we've got a business that is doing well and with still a lot of interest, and we're always going to try and develop that interest to grow our business.
Yeah. So where's the next area that you would like to go big? Which region that you're targeting, or is it any specific one, or you're just gonna go with the flow?
No, well, we've got two real areas of growth for us. So
Yes.
we've just launched in the US, and I think we've got 9 states just coming online, but we're trying to get to 32 states by the end of the year.
Wow.
And that's where one massive area of growth for us is. The other area is in Asia. So I've just come back from Hong Kong, Tokyo, and the Chinese market the scale is frightening. And for there, at the moment, the gin scene's very underdeveloped, but it's not going to be long before there is a real market there for gin.
Yes. So like in the Far East, I mean in the Far East, whiskey, and Johnny Walker is huge back in China. So you think that the gin is still underdeveloped? You think you can break into it?
Yeah, that's right, because you tend to find that these trends that come out of the UK tend to ripple out across the globe. So you're seeing trendy gin brands now in the US and New York, and you've seen that for a few years, but now you're seeing the kind of craft brands coming in behind it. So the likes of Hendrix paves the way for a lot of the brands like us. And what you find is where whiskey does well, we can kind of dovetail in and also do well, because where there's whiskey, there's generally sort of high-end bars, there's cocktail bars, and gin works in both of those types of establishments.
Yeah. Can you tell us about your new product that you've just announced last week
Yeah,
on
so
Facebook?
we've always done collaborations. We've always tried to help other businesses grow, because we've had help at the start from other businesses. So we launched our cold brew coffee holy grass vodka, which we did in partnership with Ovenbird coffee roasters. So Ovenbird, David I met at a trade show in Largs, gave me a coffee that blew my mind, fell in love with his product, have consistently drunk his coffee and used his beans for about 4 years now. And I tried it in our vodka one day and absolutely loved it. So decided to try and scale it and grow it. And bottle looks absolutely incredible, but the taste is unbelievable. It's just, we've made a vodka that allows the coffee bean to shine, and there's no extra additives in there. It's just pure coffee bean. It's magic. It's really good.
Wow. Is it sold out yet?
Sold the first batch in about
Yes, I
2 days,
noticed.
so it's just nuts. You do these things and you hope that people like what you're trying to achieve, and when you get that instant feedback, it makes you feel pretty great.
Oh, okay, wonderful. I mean, besides business, I was going to pull back a bit. I just want to ask about how's that balance, because I call myself the father of three jobs. I have to spend time with kids, but then also have to make ends meet. So how do you keep that work-life balance, family, children, and then work? Because you're a really busy man on Facebook. You're everywhere.
It does, and it's not really a balance. It's a seesaw where you're either on one side doing too much for the family, neglecting the business, or you're on the other side and you're doing too much of the business and neglecting the family. And what you always feel is incredible guilt, because you feel that whatever you're doing, you're neglecting the other part. And I guess as a parent, there's always that challenge of getting the balance right. And I don't think I've cracked it yet, but what we do is we've got kind of rules within the house that we make sure that around the table there's no work chat, and we kind of block out work chat at weekends and make space for work chat in the house, but only when the kids are in bed, or and even then we've got to kind of maintain a relationship. So Claire's the other director in the business, so we could talk about work or the kids all the time, but at the same time we've got to make sure that we get time to be none of that and just be a couple that chills out and enjoys a box set, or does normal stuff. So I don't think they've cracked the balance, but because it's very much in the front of our mind, it means that we're always considering the balance. It means that we don't we don't neglect any part of it. The reality is we kind of are able to do what we want to do for the business, but at the same time acknowledge that the kids are young and they're only young once, and everybody tells you that you've got to enjoy that period. So we know that we're going to enjoy that, spend the quality time, especially with the youngest who's not at nursery, not at school. We want to enjoy that while it's there, and then they go to school and we'll have all the time to work and grow the business together.
Yeah, wow. So, thanks for sharing that. It's very, very, I get goosebumps hearing it, that you're doing really well, both ends. Yeah, thank you for that.
No, and there's another side of that as well, where you've got to do things for yourself. So you've got to include a bit of time for yourself, and then you've got to include time for friends, because exactly. they can disappear as well. So it's not just a kind of family balance; it's also the balance of all the other stuff as well. And it's tough, but it's good.
It's a mesh network. You have to make it work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the good thing about doing what we do is we can make the most of good weather and school holidays. So we'll work really hard in the winter when the nights are dark, the weather's poor, and then we'll cut ourselves a bit of slack in the summer holidays when we maybe get 5 or 6 days where the weather's great, and we'll say, we've invested our time in the winter. Let's not feel guilty about taking a morning off and going to the beach. So I do that. We do that, and it lends itself to where we live in the world and the industry we're in. It kind of lends itself to that. Our busy period is in that November, December period when the weather's not great. There's not much outdoor activity to be done. So you can easily switch a lot. 7 o'clock when the kids have gone to bed and spend 3 hours. But at the same time, in the summer, you do the opposite. You cut yourself a bit of slack to go and enjoy the weather and do things when the kids are on holiday.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. Good point. Agree that. Agree that. Can I ask a cheeky question? Yeah. You you were an engineer. You're a process engineer. That's when I
Yep.
met you, and
I'm,
you are
I'm
a re
still I'm still a process engineer.
still process engineer. You are a good engineer. I can stand for that. Lots of guys still speak highly of your good work back at the company. So you've got your kids growing up. If they say, "Daddy, what shall I be when I grow up?" Do you say engineer or entrepreneur, business or engineer? What would you tell them?
That's a good question. I actually now I would say do what you really enjoy doing. It's difficult because there's so much pressure these days to you need money to be able to do certain things, and you can't not acknowledge that. But at the same time, it doesn't mean anything if you don't enjoy it. If you're miserable every day, then it doesn't really work in the long run. It just leads to problems. So I've always said to kids, like, find something that you really enjoy doing, become good at it, and everything else should really take care of itself. Um, it is one of those things that with your own business, your net. I'm the opposite from when I was offshore. So when I was offshore, one of the best feelings in the world is when you get on that helicopter and you land in Aberdeen, and then you have no responsibilities for 3 weeks.
Everything off the back. Yeah.
So you don't have a laptop, you don't have a mobile phone, and that's great.
Yeah.
But when you go into business, and it's your own business, it's the opposite. You never switch off. You just don't. You don't have that time out. So um, it's difficult, but you really enjoy it. So I say to the kids, so even though there's a lot of this, it's quite demanding, and we do more hours than we necessarily would if we worked for a large company. I still would rather do this because the feeling of reward that you get, the challenge that it brings, is really fulfilling. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I've kind of said to the kids, you get a lot out of it when you're doing it for yourself, and you get those rewards
Yes.
back
Yes.
to you directly.
Experience. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's from your own hands, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, Martin, I mean, what is there? Can you give us three challenges that you had to face moving from engineer to business? What were the three biggest challenges that you can remember that you can share with folks who are still
Oh
stuck
God.
on one side of the fence? Is there anything you find it difficult? Was it the marketing side? Was it the money side? Was it the HR side? Is there anything that you think, or even one that you can share that
Uh,
you found a bit
uh,
challenging?
there's a few. So when you work in a large corporation, you don't see who does everything behind the scenes. You just things happen, things get taken care of, and when you start on your own, you have to do all of that. When we built the building, I was talking to spirits distributors 1 hour, and then I would be designing a sewage pumping system for our drains, and
Oh,
then you'd be picking paint colors and kitchens, and then bottle designs, cork sizes, and you're doing all of that. So it's not like you support that you could then go and rely on other people. You are everything. You
yeah,
pick, choose, and design everything, and that's a challenge. That's a real challenge. And you know, when I used to work in an offshore environment, choosing something like a pump, for example, would take a
yeah,
long time. There'd be a
yeah,
lot of people involved, and
yes,
wouldn't be a there wouldn't be the same pressure. Whereas I designed the still, I picked the pump size, the pump. If that pump doesn't work, it's my fault and it's cost my business money. That's quite a thought, because you're sitting there on the day turning
yes.
it on, and you're sitting there thinking, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to feel pretty stupid. So
It's your money. You're paying for it.
yeah, your money. Yeah, so that's hard. And then the other part about business is you're thrown into areas that are not your comfort zone, and you don't want to do them, but you just have to do them. Marketing, accounts, these kind of things that you've not been trained to do, you've not had experience in doing, but you've got to do them because nobody else is going to do them, and
Yeah,
that's hard too. Um, the other kind of challenges that we've had are our location. So we don't have
yeah,
a local market on our doorstep. So we've had to do a lot of travel, a lot of miles, and that can be quite tiring.
yeah,
You, and you're always doing things on a budget, so it can be quite hard when you're going to shows and you're up against other big brands who have an unlimited
yeah,
budget and a team of people there, and you're doing stuff on such a shoestring budget, and you're the owners
yeah.
and you're there, and that can be quite hard. There's a lot. It's really emotional. So that's another thing that's quite hard. Is not only is it tiring the hours you put in, but it's pretty emotional draining.
Yeah. Hey, you've walked a long way, and you've seen the fruits of the labor, you know. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure.
a lot of people see the success and the kind of the great things that happen in the business, but behind that, every business owner will be able to tell you stories of where things went wrong, where things turned up wrong, things
Yeah,
broke, things didn't get delivered, things got lost. All of these stories have happened to us, and yeah, it's just a roller coaster where you really do hit those low points, but most people only see the high points. And I
yeah,
think most people you'll speak to doing this, you'll probably find the same thing, that there's these low points that people don't know about and don't hear
yeah,
about.
yeah. So what do you normally do, or what kind of support do you get emotionally? Do when you're at your low point, what do you do? Do you go for a run? Do you go for the gym, or do you speak to the family? How do you have you
Uh,
got any advice for lots of people who fail in the business because they've stuck at a low point and never got themselves out? But is there anything that you can share with our listeners on what we
it's
should do?
it's quite hard. Quite often, I find myself in that position, and you walk away from the situation, take a break, go away, sleep on it, come back, and go at it with fresh eyes. Because sometimes it can be that you're just tired and you're not thinking straight. And I
Yes.
quite often come to these problems and come back, and when you get that little bit of energy boost, that refresh, you've been refreshed, you go at it, you put your energy in, and you generally get through things. And I always have this mentality that there's so many other big challenges out there that
Yes.
people can do. Why can't I do these do these challenges in front of me? And you get through it. You always get through it.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you very much for sharing that. Wow. Can you tell me, the leap of faith? Because, we started our career in Aberdeen. And, Aberdeen's a great place to work in oil and gas, and everyone's comfortable. But you decided to take the leap of faith. I've spoken to a few viewers. Everyone's got a different experience, but I would like to hear your view on why you decided to take that jump.
Yeah,
You could have been a lucrative at your job, but you decided to go, I want to try something different.
just life changed for me. So when I was younger, I loved the offshore environment, and when I moved to projects, I loved projects. They were super
Yeah,
exciting, and
yeah,
they were intense when you got to the startup phase. Really, really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I was starting to leave home and saying to the kids, I don't know when I'm going to be back, because the project needed to start up. So I could be 5 or 6 days, or I could be 3 weeks, and
yeah,
missing birthdays, missing Christmas, this kind of things. Um, when I was younger, it didn't bother me. But when you're looking at kids and you're trying to tell them you're going to miss a birthday, it's really, really tough. So I kind of decided that I wanted this
mm,
control. I wanted to be able to decide what I do and when I do it, and have the option of the choice. So
yeah,
um, knowing that, I decided to try and transition out of oil and gas. So we were in a time where oil and gas was $150 a barrel,
yeah,
and you could leave a job on a Friday and find a new job on a Monday.
yeah.
So I actually didn't consider this business a risk. So we started in the when was it? We started in the August 2014,
14.
and then I left, and 3 months later the price of oil crashed. So all my plan B, C, D, and E just vanished in front of me.
Yeah,
Uh, and then I realised that this was a risk, and this had to work. So I had to make a choice then, whether I go back to offshore and get a job to safeguard our future, or I make this work. And I decided, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to give it a try, because I thought, I'll find something. I will find a job somewhere. It might not be what I want to do. It might not be where I want to do on a rotation I want to do.
yeah,
But if everything doesn't work out, I'll find something. So I kind of was a bit brave. Um,
yes,
I, I kind of, I was determined, because if you want something that bad and you want to make it work, you have to have that determination. And I worked hard for it as well.
yeah,
I was working 2 weeks offshore, long hours during startup,
yeah,
coming home,
yeah,
and then doing 2 weeks developing this business, and then
yeah.
flying offshore. So I was on a 2 and 2, and trying to start up a platform and trying to start up a gin distiller at the same time. So it was
Wow.
pretty brutal. Um,
Well
but
done.
but it was, you've got to have that determination, and you've got to think long term as well. So like, I could only ever see myself being here long term, and that's just where I had to focus my energy and put the effort in. Um, and like now, nowadays I walk from the house to the distillery, and the next morning I'll walk along the beach through the forest and back to the distillery. It takes me 45 minutes. And I sit there every time I do that walk. I sit there and think, I'm never going to give this up. Whatever happens in life, I'm going to fight to keep that business and keep that walk to work, because it's just brilliant. It's just, I got so used to the short commute offshore that now I love the fact that I don't have to really commute to work. It's like less than a mile. I can get there in 7 minutes. And
Yeah, it's just there around the corner.
so like I love that. I love that commute along the beach to work. I love the fact that the school bus can drop the kids off opposite the distillery. I can see them. I just love all of that, and that's the kind of thing that you've got to fight for, and you've got to keep in your mind that that's why you do it. You're not doing it for anything else. You're doing it for that reason, and you just channel your energy to do it.
Yes, yes. Wow, that's amazing, amazing. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years. You've seen a lot. You've been everywhere. Is there any? I'm going to the gossip part now. Is there any? What are the lists of your favorite celebrities that you have? I know I mentioned a few in the beginning. Is there a list of celebrity that you didn't expect that this business would bring you to see these people?
Oh man! So we're delighted because we've had Prince Charles come and visit our distillery, which was incredible because we just didn't expect. It's not one of those things when you set up business you think will happen to you.
Yeah.
And then we, on the back of our success, we were asked to represent our county at the royal wedding for Harry and Meghan, which is just incredible. We got the invite in, and I just couldn't believe. I just sitting there thinking, someone's going to tell me this is a wind up any moment now, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And we sat there, and we were sat there in the gardens, and we're drinking Rock Rose, and it was weird because I was like 10 meters away from Beckham walking in, George Clooney walking in, the royal family walking in, and you sit there thinking, I never expected any of this. I used to, my kind of, my life used to revolve around which bunk I was going to get when I came on shift, that top bunk, bottom bunk. what the food was going to be like in the galley, the kind of simple things that when I was offshore that kind of were bonuses. What was a special meal on Saturday night, and now you're sitting there having a picnic in the Royal Gardens, and it was like it was amazing. One of the other highlights that I had was we went out with the UK government to California for a gin tasting, and I met a guy from back home, a guy called David Mackay, and I knew of his family, but I didn't know of him. So we got chatting, and we hit it off really well. And when he left, I'd forgotten to ask him what he did, and I just presumed he was there with the government. And one of the officials came over and asked me, and he goes, "Oh, how do you know David Mackay?" And I was like, "I don't. He's from our local area." And I said, "What? I don't understand." And he goes, "Oh, well, he's the chief pilot for Virgin Galactic. He's the guy who's going into space for Virgin." And I was just like, "Oh, brilliant." So he said he would come and visit me, and I never thought anything of it. And I came back after being away for a week.
Yeah.
And on my desk was a business card that said, "See, I told you I would come. David Mackay, Virgin Galactic." And I thought, that's just...
Oh, my goodness.
Brilliant. So,
wow.
Love that. And, we've had so many chefs turn up at the distillery that didn't expect to see. And that's what I like about it as well. That what we're doing right now is totally and utterly random. People can phone us, people can call us, people can drop in us, and we have no idea. Whereas when I was on a rotation before, it was tend to be 80 sort of core crew. So you've seen the same people generally most of the time, and occasionally you got specialists out, and that made it a bit interesting. But generally it was the same crew all the time. You got into routine, sat at the same place for your lunch, sat in the same seat in the helicopter, that kind of thing. Whereas now it's totally random. So we get chefs turning up. I got a call one night about 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and it was a US number. So I answered it, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to order some gin from to go to Boston." And I was like, "I'm really sorry, but we just can't ship to the Boston. You're better to buy it off a website." And I gave him the name, and the guy goes, "I don't think you understand. We want to order containers of gin."
Containers, like truckloads.
Yeah. So that call that I answered is now our partner in the US. So I'm going out there on the 9th of June for 2 weeks. I'm doing a tour around New York, Boston, Chicago, Washington. And that's like amazing. It's just
how did they find you? Because it's not like how did they find? I knew you got your website, your marketing, Facebook's brilliant, top notch, but how did they find you? And then they go, "I want that, please."
So they were doing a tour of the Highlands and visiting whiskey distilleries, and at
Yeah.
the end of the day, they wanted something that wasn't whiskey. So they asked the bar, "What gin and tonic do you recommend?" And nearly every bar recommended Rock Rose. So they fell in love with it, and then they said, after that trip, we need to get Rock Rose in the States, and that was like just wow, amazing.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's so Rock Rose can be in America. It's in America, but it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, that's our plans. That's where we see our big growth, and I'll be out there twice this year,
Yeah.
and hopefully kicking the sales on. It's just really exciting.
So do you see yourself expanding to US, or you're going to keep it in Dunnet? Do you
No, we're
think?
done it. We're done it. We one of the things
Yes.
that I'm passionate about is our local area. We came home and created jobs because we couldn't find jobs in our local area that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is continue to create jobs here. So we've created 16 jobs, something I never thought we would do. And I'm really the thing I get most out of the business these days is actually seeing other people do great stuff. Other people developing recipes, other people planning marketing and events and that kind of thing, and seeing them getting a lot out of it. That's what gives me the biggest buzz now, actually. So I see very much as us being done at Bay Distillers always, and
Yes.
growing a business here and creating jobs here, more and more jobs in a very fragile rural economy.
Well done. Well done. Really proud to hear that. Really proud to hear that. Wow. So, so Martin, do you see yourself OBE or Sir in the next couple of years?
No, gosh, no,
Uh,
I get asked a lot of things like, are you the CEO? Are you the owner? And I still consider myself a chemical engineer. I
yeah.
still think I'm a chemical engineer. Don't think um, of of myself as anything else. I just see that I'm using my engineering skills for different problems now.
Yes. Yes. Different problem, different skills. So, I mean, working in the oil and gas, like you said, going for jobs, going for interviews, how do you find the skill to hire the right person? You said you've got between 10 to 80 people that comes to
Mhm.
s- to to distillery for work. So, are you in charge of the human resource side of things, or
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah,
someone else?
absolutely, absolutely. So it's really interesting. Probably before, if you'd asked me, I would have said, you look at CVs, you look at those
Yeah.
kind of things. But actually, can-do attitude. The attitude is so important.
Yes.
We've taken people in who started off on our production and now running the shop, doing other stuff for us. And I think attitude is everything because they'll make mistakes, but it's not deliberate and it's not because of laziness. It's because they're trying to do something that they maybe don't have the skills for. So if we can give them those skills and train them up, if they maintain that attitude and energy, then um, it's they're going to do well for you. And we found that the people who've come in with the right attitude and
Yes.
been willing to do other things for us. So maybe coming in and saying, well, actually, can you go and help us at an event, or can you help us in the shop, or do
Yeah.
something different? It's really good because you get to see how they perform in other areas, and they learn a lot about the business doing that. But you can see from their attitude that they're going to be with you for a long time. So with our staff, I think we've taken on seasonal staff every year, and every year the seasonal staff have become permanent staff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And your marketing, Rock Rose Gin. I know Dunnet Distillery is the family name, and then Rock Rose Gin is the product, and then you've got Holy Grass for
holy grass
vodka.
vodka, yeah.
Yeah, your marketing. I mean, you say it started in 2014. Me looking back at the marketings that you've done, it's really modern. It's really new. What you've done 4 years ago is what people are doing just now. The new startups. And how do you crack that code? How do you know the future?
I have nothing to do with the marketing, so
Yeah.
I want to hold my hands up and say got I did the recipe design and did all the engineering side of things, and Claire did all the marketing. So
Yes.
everything you see on Facebook, everything you see on our social is Claire. So she's done a brilliant job. You got to remember she wasn't from a marketing background; she was from
Yeah.
a hospitality background. But
Yes.
what we had or what we still do have in Claire is that Claire's our target customer. So Claire communicates with people that she in the way that she would want to be communicated with,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the great thing, I'll let you into a little secret. The
Yeah.
reason why social media worked for us so well in the beginning was because we were online when everyone of our customers was online. So Claire would do social media when the kids were in bed. So she'd be online between 7 and 10. and that's when all of our customers were online.
Wow.
So she was interacting with people in real time, whereas most businesses run their social media with scheduled posts and interact during office hours.
Yeah.
Claire was interacting every evening when everybody was commenting and asking questions. So everything was instant, and that's what people want. Social media is instant. That's
exactly. So you
that's what.
target. So you got to target folks. So you're just targeting, engaging, and reaching, and the word
Yeah,
of mouth just spread. Yeah.
and always always answering questions and being really engaging with the customer, and it's worked, and it still works today. We're maybe not as polished as a lot of brands, but what people want these days is a bit of real, something real, not something that's polished, not something that's been prepared by a consultancy or that's got no soul and no depth. They want
Yes.
this. They
Yes.
want this real depth. They want the polished pictures. They want the nice cocktails, that kind of things. But then they want to see the other things that are fun. They want to see the team behind the business. They want to believe that the business they are supporting are the way they present themselves. So we are the only owners of Dunnet Bay Distillers. We run the company. We do it in a way that we want, and people love that. Yeah, people want that. There's no board of directors. There's no external investors. There's just the two of us kind of giving it a go. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. You always see that kind of I don't know, affection towards the underdog, where if you're going to support the wee brand versus the big brand, everybody's going to go with the wee brand because they want to support the underdog.
Yeah. Yeah. So just very interestingly, you brought up the word underdog. Do you still see your brand and your company in the gin business as an underdog?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
we
Really?
have
You think so?
so you got to remember, we're up in a village of 300 people, so we have no idea what the rest of the world thinks of us. We only think of with the only perception we have of our business and us as the owners of the business as what we see day to day, and we just think we're a small business and we make gin and it vanishes off out the door and people drink it. So we don't get that feedback from other businesses. We know we've won awards and that, but we're still kind of, I don't know whether it's a Scottish thing or a Highlands thing. We're quite pessimistic, and we're quite we kind of think that there's more to do, rather than look back on what we've done and think that we've achieved something. We think there's just more stuff to do, and I don't know. We just don't rest. We don't think that we're anywhere in the top. I don't know, 50, 100 brands. We just think that we're a brand and we're doing okay.
No, I think you are a brand. You're doing very, very well. I think you, in terms of sales and finance, I've looked it up. I've done a bit of calculation. You actually, what comes in, what goes out. Guys in London are not doing as well in terms of numbers as you. So I think
We're proper. We're Scotsmen. We're really tight.
no, no, you're doing very well. You should give yourself a pat on the back and just say,
Okay.
"Oh my goodness,
But,
that's really good."
we didn't know any other way. So if we were based in London, you might think, okay, we're going to go and raise some equity. We're going to raise some investment. We're going to finance it this way. We're going to borrow money this way, and then we're going to spend money this way. All we knew was that we needed to buy some equipment and some ingredients and buy some bottles, and we needed to find a way to pay for that. And the bank wouldn't give us any money. We didn't have any rich friends, so we had to pay for it ourselves. And that's all. That was a really simplistic way of looking at it. We needed to buy stuff to make stuff to sell, to be able to sell it, and that's what we did.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about that's different from you is the business, because I followed your journey since when you got on social media, the steps that you guys take, the ingredients you choose, the marketing, you actually shared it online. So like you said, there's a soul with your company. We can feel your company when people who have followed your journey. But for other gins that we've seen just popped out off the shelf saying award winning, we just say, who's that? It's just another name. But Rock Rose Gin, a lot of people locally and away actually know Manchester. I've spoken to people in Manchester, London, that actually know the story because they follow you on social media. So I think
and you look at our audience, it's incredible to think that we've got more followers on Facebook than there is people in our county.
it's big.
It's kind of insane, but it's only going to get bigger. I don't know. It's kind of hard. We were one of the first 3 gin brands to set up, so we did take a risk, but people love what they see with us. They come to the distillery and they'll see myself or Claire kicking about, working, helping out, and they love the fact that they get to see the owners actually there working and involved with the business, rather than it's a brand and there's a sales team and a tour team and this kind of thing. They know that our staff are kind of integrated with us, and we have tea breaks together and we have fun together as a team. And we are a team. We're doing this all together as a team.
Yeah, and you'll be growing as a team as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So I know I've taken up 35 minutes of your time, but I've got this question I want to ask that it's always what I ask at the end, what do you see yourself in 5 years? Can you help us visualize what would you like to achieve? What was your goal that you want to see in 5 years? We're not going to go 10, 15, but 5 is a nice amount that we can feel it,
I would struggle to say 6 months time actually. If I go back 5 years and you say, okay, this is what it's going to look like in 5 years time, I would have laughed. I would have just thought you're totally crazy and said, I think you're speaking to the wrong guy here. So I've got no idea. I literally have no idea what it's going to look like in 5 years time, but I know what I would like to see, and I would like to see a stronger team achieving things that amaze me and make me feel great. So we've done a lot of the kind of hard work, and we've done some really things I'm really proud of, but I want to see a team in place that do things that they can then feel proud of and feel that they kind of contribute to our business. I'd like to develop that workforce so that they do that. And that's why I see myself in 5 years' time just sitting there smiling, looking at what everybody else is achieving for us and seeing them hopefully smile as well, so enjoying their job, getting the kind of balance that we give them. So one thing I've not touched upon, which is we've talked about how I came into doing this because of my family.
Yes.
What we are as a family business in every aspect. So we look after our staff as if they are kind of like part of our extended family, but we know the things that happen when you have a family. So we know about kids, bugs, and all these things that you can't protect. And we look after our staff that way. We want to make sure that they get the same flexibility that we came home to have, and that we look after them in that way. And so far, we've been able to do that. And I like that. I like the fact that, we're not constrained in saying that. So I'll give you an example. Most of our staff work from just after 9 till just after 3, so they can fit in with school hours.
Yes.
And the other business that kind of up in our in other businesses that would blow their mind. But what we've got is a very happy team that work those hours. And what difference does it make? What difference does 45 minutes make versus having good quality staff who are happy at doing what they do?
Yes.
So I kind of wanted a long-winded way of getting around to your answer. In 5 years' time, I see building the staff, building their skills, and then seeing them kind of develop our business for us.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing story to share, Martin. I mean, now you being the boss, I remember I had a conversation with you a few years back. So what do you like the most? You said being the boss. So
that's because I was the only person in the distillery.
So now you've got, a group of people working for you. So, when you work offshore, if you go to ORM, the boss man, you have to watch what you say. So how do you feel now being the boss? So how do you want people, your colleagues to talk to you, to treat you? Do you want to, like you said, you seem to want to be equal with everyone?
Yeah.
So when you grow more and more, how would you want that to work?
It's quite interesting. You kind of look in your past and you look at the learnings that I had from my time in oil and gas. And there was a guy, Steve, who was my supervisor on one of the platforms. And what I really liked about him was he would do the jobs that other people didn't like doing, and he would muck in with the team. So I'm very much the boss, but I don't see it as a boss and I dictate. I see it as in I lead, and I go out to set examples, I set standards, and they follow. And when there's orders that need fulfilled or the big peaks, I'll muck in and do that and be part of the team. And that's the way I see it. I've got to do other things to develop the business, and I've got to make sure that people are looked after and that things are running smoothly. But I very much see that we lead by example. We lead by our own standards, our own practices, and that's the kind of a boss I like to be. And it's worked fine so far, and you want to be approachable, you want to be reasonable, and you want to be understanding, and I kind of like to think that we are.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your leadership style with our listeners. Oh, wow. it's very it's been a very exciting journey that we've listened for the last 40 minutes. So I suppose to end this podcast, Martin, is there anything you want to share with the listeners or any advice you would like to give as your closing statement?
Uh, I think you've got to be brave. I think you regret the things you don't do. So if we hadn't have done this, I wouldn't have known what I've been able to achieve. And I think I could easily have been comfortable for a long time. I could have got tied to shares by on Get Two Free. I could have been tied to a pension, a final salary pension.
Yeah.
But actually, that doesn't matter. I kind of would rather work until the day I drop dead doing something I love than retire at 55 with a decent pension. And I think that only comes from knowing what I know now. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't suit every single individual. It's a stressful environment. It can be quite demanding, quite emotional, but I think I wouldn't swap it for the world. So yeah. I think if you've got that determination and this is what you want to do, then be brave and go for it. When I worked at the project office, every lunchtime, or like at least once a week, I would listen to a talk by a guy called Nigel Marsh, which was how to make the work-life balance work.
Yeah.
He basically takes the mick out of work-life balance, but it's really good. It's worth listening to, and it's always stuck with me listening to his talk that was kind of a real motivator for me, that work-life balance wasn't getting to wear a jumper on a Friday afternoon in the office. It was actually quality time with the kids.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I think you have to be brave, and you have to. I've written another thing down here: is trust your gut. Your gut instinct is unbelievable, and you only get that from doing something for the sort of time that we've done it. That what we've learned in the last 5 years is we should have always trusted our gut, because the mistakes we've made, our gut feeling was against it.
Yeah. Just have to trust your instinct you got. Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you. Well, listeners, I hope you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. I got so much more question to ask, but I think we've run out of time. I hope to get Martin back again in the near future to enjoy the success of his journey. But for those who's not known about Rock Rose Gin, please go and Google and follow Martin, Claire, and team on Rock Rose Gin's energy, and even try Rock Rose Gin if you can get your hands on any.
Yeah.
and Holy Grass vodka as well. It's amazing. I've tried the Rock Rose Gin myself, and I've got lots of friends who just speaks highly of it. So very well done, Martin. Congratulations on your business, your journey, and your story. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and I'm loving following your journey as well. So yeah, well done on what you're doing, Alex.
Yes, one step at a time, Bridget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.